Lorenz from the Washington Post revealed the identity of the individual behind the account Libs of TikTok. And that led to right-wingers completely melting down. And I wanna give you examples of people who are upset, what their arguments are, and then we're going to debunk a lot of them. First, just to remind you all of what Libs of TikTok is all about, let's go to graphic 11 here. Her anti-trans tweets went especially viral. She called on her followers to contact schools that were allowing boys in the girls' bathrooms and pushed the false conspiracy theory that schools were installing litter boxes in bathrooms for children who identify as cats. She also purported that adults who teach children about LGBTQ+ identities are abusive, that being gender non-conforming or an ally to the LGBTQ community was a mental illness, and referred to schools as government-run indoctrination camps for the LGBTQ+ community. Now, the woman behind it was basically anonymous until Taylor Lorenz reported on this story and revealed her identity. Her name is Chaya Raichik. Now, her revealing the identity of the person behind the account is what has led to right-wingers like Glenn Greenwald completely melting down about it. He writes this: Taylor Lorenz is about to expose the private citizen behind some anonymous account on Twitter. And when people criticize her for it, she and her friends will claim Taylor is the real victim, and anyone criticizing this type of journalist will be guilty of causing her trauma. So Taylor Lorenz opened up about what it's like to be a female reporter in an industry that is not friendly to female reporters. To whine about anyone talking about their lived experience is so pathetic and weak, but that's who Glenn Greenwald is. A terminally online, pathetic little clown who went from being a pretty impressive reporter to being someone who we literally dunk on both on air and off the air, because how could you not? But I do want to also go to something interesting about Glenn Greenwald. Let's go to graphic 16 here. Matt Binder made sure to emphasize a part of her reporting, Taylor Lorenz's reporting, that's really relevant to Glenn Greenwald. All of the info in the Libs of TikTok piece was already publicly available online, but Taylor had one thing that no one else had, which made the report possible. Glenn Greenwald accidentally confirming her identity. And the excerpt, let's keep that tweet up, says this: when a reporter called the phone number registered to Raichik's real estate profile and libsoftiktok.us, the woman who answered hung up after the reporter identified herself. And then later she writes that on Monday night, a tweet from Glenn Greenwald confirmed the house that was visited belonged to Raichik's family. Oops. Also wanted to add this delicious tweet from Glenn from September 12th of 2020. It's amazing. It's not that long ago, and it shows you how much he's changed. So Alex, I'm sorry, this tweet says the following: I don't mind admitting that I find anonymous cowards who spread lies on the internet repulsive. Why wouldn't I? It's an insecure, scared, petty, inconsequential way of living.
Oops.
Interesting.
Okay, now all of a sudden he says, how dare you out anyone who's anonymous online? I'm aflutter with it. Oh my God, I'm so outraged. Yeah, sure you are, Glenn. God, you've become such a pathetic liar, and it's so obvious. So this is real life consequences. So this lunatic, Chaya Raichik, let me repeat that. Her name is Chaya Raichik, okay? By the way, don't go to her house, you're not a reporter, okay? And don't do anything in the real world physical to anyone. We're on the left, we're progressives. We actually believe in decency and morality, unlike the right wing, okay? I'm telling you who she is because of what she's doing online. You don't get to hide behind your hood while you go and attack gay people left and right and try to get anyone who's decent to gay people fired.
Right.
Okay, so now, all we're doing is taking our hood off, that's it. She has the crazy conspiracy theory that Anna told you, many of them, and we talked about it earlier in the show too, some QAnon-like conspiracies, and and of course the election was stolen, and of course COVID, conspiracy theories, etc. But look at the litter box one that Anna just mentioned, okay? So the kids are dressing up as furries and they're defecating in the middle of the school, and that's why they had to bring in litter boxes. We've done stories where several different school districts had to put out statements saying, please stop attacking us.
Yeah.
There are no kids actually dressed up as cats. There are no litter boxes in the schools. It's total insanity. It's not at all true. Now Glenn Greenwald is coming around and saying, oh, no. Being anonymous while you spread insane conspiracy theories like that, that's awesome. That's free speech, baby.
Parents were showing up to school board meetings and they were hysterical, okay? They were terrified that their children were being offered litter boxes to defecate in because the school was trying to be accommodating to furries. Why did they think that? Oh, it turns out the origin of that nonsense was Libs of TikTok.
And they're
no, sorry, Cenk. And I just love the defenders of that account. Like, what? I mean, she's just reposting what Libs are putting up on social media. That's not true. She's specifically framing them as dangerous, nefarious individuals who are grooming your children. Clearly, she's posting things that are lies, like the litter box nonsense. And then more importantly, listen, Media Matters literally just takes video clips of what right-wingers are saying, they post it, and the reporters, the people who work at Media Matters, they're not anonymous. They're literally just taking the content, reposting it on their site. And the reason why they're not hiding their identities is because they're doing nothing wrong. They're not taking people out of context, they're not defaming individuals. They don't have to worry about lawsuits because they're not defaming individuals. But this individual, right, Chaya Raichik, she is defaming individuals. She knows what she's doing. That's why she wanted to remain anonymous. She wanted to go out of her way to get people fired, to destroy people's lives, take away their livelihood with no repercussions, no consequences whatsoever. And now you have a reporter like Taylor Lorenz who had the courage, the balls, and also the journalistic integrity to do her job appropriately and report on this story. And the right wing is not used to anyone fighting back against them effectively. That is why they're having this simultaneous meltdown, and that is why I'm in a great mood today. I love to see it. I love to see them cope like the little babies that they are. In fact, Cenk, why don't we take a little trip to the copium den so we can view it all for ourselves and really enjoy this moment.
The poll book is completely off.
What was it called by? Oh my goodness, all the networks.
Dumps. They call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Another person in the copium den is Meghan McCain. Taylor Lorenz is knocking on doors of relatives and trying to dox anonymous figures from Twitter, but will cry on TV about being harassed. I mean, Meghan, no one cried on TV more than you did. I'm the only conservative on The View, it's not fair. Are you really gonna call her out for crying on air? Anyway, is she a sociopath? This right here is why the vast majority of American public hates the press.
No, Meghan, you're a sociopath. You think there's kids dressing up as furries in schools? There's litter boxes. You think that there's child molestation and drinking of blood of children? You think all that lunatic stuff? And you think that this Libs of TikTok is some sort of hero to you? If you think that she's some sort of a journalistic hero and Taylor Lorenz is the bad guy for pointing out who she is, you're the sociopath. So look, there's other parts of this too. The literal state legislators have gone around with that litter box theory. Okay, they've done speeches like, we've got to protect the kids from the litter boxes, because the right wing has lost their minds, right? And so, how about the school officials that got attacked based on the lies from Libs of TikTok?
No, but they love it. They love that.
Wait, you don't seem concerned about them being outed?
No, because they're not.
And they didn't even do anything wrong. She just made up stuff about them.
They love it. What happened to all the Trump administration officials who were trying to out the person who wrote that anonymous op-ed about Trump? You remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of that going on, but I didn't hear anyone on the right who's currently having a meltdown worry about that at all. And in regard to Taylor Lorenz showing up at people's houses, listen, maybe you don't know anything about journalism, and that's fine. If that's not the industry you work in, the field of work you do, that's totally fine. It is a common practice. It is a widely used practice. It happens all the time. Now, Meghan McCain would know that because she was never a journalist, and only received media offers because she happened to be the daughter of a late senator. Clearly, her on-air commentary was not compelling or interesting or unique. She didn't get those jobs based on merit, and clearly she didn't get those jobs based on journalistic knowledge or integrity. But putting that aside, okay, if people find that a little off-putting, journalists showing up at people's houses to learn more about these stories. I want to go to Alex Thompson's tweet here because he's absolutely right. He's a reporter over at Politico who says, showing up at people's homes is standard journalism that more reporters should do. Like half of all the president's men is Woodstein showing up at people's homes. And let me also remind you that Fox News used to have someone dubbed the ambush guy, and that person still works at Fox News. His name is Jesse Waters. In fact, Jesse Waters bragged about ambushing people in their homes all the time. He put a compilation video together for it. Here's a little snippet from that compilation video.
Do you regret verbally abusing Ivanka Trump on the plane? You harassed a woman with her baby on a flight. You proud of that? Real class act, aren't you? Now you're afraid to show your face? I'm giving you an opportunity to apologize, sir. Nothing to say?
That was just a person who said something that wasn't polite to Ivanka Trump, an incredibly powerful person on a commercial flight. He also creepily followed Huffington Post reporter Amanda Turkle around when she was on vacation with her family. But the right wing didn't care about that. That was totally fine. It's the ambush guy. It's the ambush guy. That's totally okay.
Was he going to deflate Amanda's tires? Because he's also a creepy stalker who apparently that's his idea of getting a date. He just said that last night on his show. So he also showed where that guy lives.
Yep.
Okay, Taylor Lorenz didn't do that. You did that, Jesse Waters. When they do it, but again,
but it's the ambush guy. You know,
yeah, the right wing doesn't. Guys, I've got to stop trying to make sense of it or trying to talk to them because they don't care about logic or reason. They just don't. When Jesse Waters does it, they love it. If they could, they'd go inside that house, they'd show the address, they'd terrorize that person nonstop. In fact, a lot of the victims of Chaya Raichik have gotten death threats and been harassed, and the right wing loves it. They love it, right? And then when you say, by the way, the person doing it is this person. I can't believe you outed someone who was anonymous. Even after Glenn Greenwald, just 2 years ago, that tweet's not from 20 years ago. That was from 2 years ago when he was like, anonymous people should all be outed. Now he's like, oh my God, it's the biggest crime there is. You're just so pathetic, all of you. And so I wanna go back to something that just happened. State Senator Mallory McCarrow in Michigan gave an impassioned speech finally fighting back. It was so good to see a Democrat fight back for like the first time ever, right? And why? Because lunatic Republican State Senator Lana Theus had said that the fellow state senator had, quote, put our children in danger, and that McMorrow was outraged that they can't teach, they can't groom and sexualize kindergartners, or that 8-year-olds are responsible for slavery.
Do you guys now get it? The way that she intentionally framed people as groomers, as people who want to groom children. So it's not the same as what Media Matters does, where they just repost right-wing content to make a point about what right-wingers are saying. She specifically would frame people as these dangerous, nefarious individuals who should lose their livelihoods simply because of who they are as members of the LGBTQ community. And honestly, one other thing I just want to say, and then I'll end it in terms of my commentary. The members of the left, and yes, I'm calling out media members on the left, specifically online media people, who have decided that they'd rather pander to right-wingers who do not share our values and certainly don't give a damn about unions. They don't give a damn about economic justice. They don't give a damn about ensuring that workplaces are better for the ordinary American worker. They'd rather pander to those clowns by just minimizing these kinds of stories. Minimize. They're uncomfortable with the LGBTQ community. We don't want to make them uncomfortable. Yes, we want to make them uncomfortable. They're not our allies. They're not our allies, because guess what? A work environment that fires people for who they are because of their identities, because of the fact that they're part of the LGBTQ community, that's not a workplace I want to support. That's not a good working condition that I would be in favor of. And these clowns, look, it's about you appealing to the right wing. It's not at all about fighting for economic justice. I just want to call that out. I don't need to name names. Everyone knows who I'm talking about.
Okay, so my last thing is, now it has spread from Libs of TikTok and other social media influencers and Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson to actual Republican legislators, like the ones that Lana Theus that I just told you about. And she's accusing other state legislators of being groomers for pedophilia with no evidence, of course, just lunatic, really dangerous stuff. And mainly because they say, yeah, it's okay to say in school that someone is gay or that gay people exist. And now you get called a groomer for that, right? So no, we're gonna fight back against that. I love that Senator McMorrow gave a speech about it and said, no, you don't get to call me that, and I don't fight back. And the reason I'm mentioning that is twofold. One is Libs of TikTok isn't just like, oh, some poor innocent babe in the woods. Oh, I was just sitting here sending out flowers and roses and rainbows when all of a sudden I was outed by the evil Taylor Lorenz. No, she's a despicable person spreading hate throughout the country. But the second reason is, to Anna's point, Democrats, people on the left, will you for God's sake stand up? Stand up, the fascists are already here, okay? So, and just fight back, man, and fight back with principles, with journalism, with integrity, but don't just sit in a corner afraid that they're gonna attack you next on social media. That's exactly how the fascists win.
No, it's amazing. Like, again, this will be the final thing I say. Your posts, puffing your chest up as if you're like the next Che Guevara, is pathetic when you cower the second the right wing decides to come after the left. I'm not here for it, okay? Don't be posing as some sort of revolutionary if you're gonna cower in the face of the worst individuals who want to further disenfranchise the powerless in this country. You ain't no revolutionary, you're a joke.